Welcome to everyone who has joined us for our Publishing in the Digital Age session. I'm Dr. Adam Smith, Course Director of the Graduate Certificate of Editing and Electronic Publishing, and actually a graduate of an earlier form of this course when it was taught on campus. I've been involved in teaching the course for quite a while now. I was first a tutor and I've been a convener of the course now for nearly 10 years. I'm also a practicing editor and have worked in both trade and academic publishing, working on print and online publications. A big question: what challenges do editors face today, and how can we help to address them? So there's a number of challenges that editors are facing at the moment. There's lots of changes in the industry, there's lots of changes in how we work with texts, and here's just a few of them that I've highlighted for you. So one of the big issues, one of the big challenges that editors face today is adapting to new media and modes of publishing. What we do in this course is we investigate the demands of multiple types of publication, both across print and digital platforms, and we provide practical tasks that address them. Another issue, another challenge that editors face is maintaining standards while dealing with fast-paced demand for new content. And I'm sure a lot of you will have noticed, probably a lot of you because you're interested in this course in the first place, so you'll notice these kind of things when errors appear in print or on screen. So many more of them seem to be getting through because there is so much content being put out there and not enough time to edit it often, and not very skilled editors to do it. So what we do is we give students the tools to recognize issues with language and layout, so it's not just about text, so that they can deal with them swiftly and efficiently. Publishing for an increasingly diverse and global audience is another big issue. We provide knowledge and practice on how to cater to the needs and expectations of different audiences, and in fact we look very closely at particular different standards that there are across the world in terms of editing practices. Working within a market where it's not just publishers who publish things, so a market that's become decentralized, where it's not just about the big publishers who are publishing things, it's about anyone can publish anything now, it's possible. So what we do is we equip students with information about how the industry works and how to function within it, either as part of a company or very commonly now as a freelancer. Here's the course structure and content. So over the 2 semesters, there are 2 units per semester, 4 units in all. And here are the names of the different units. So Edit 8080, Tools for Editing, which looks at a lot of the kind of practical skills an editor needs. Things like copy editing. We also look at structural editing, looking at global English, how it works across the world. Plain English is an important topic to understand. Legibility as well. And web editing is another particular aspect to that part of the course. So that's looking at the kind of the fundamental skills that an editor needs. Edit 8082, which is also in semester 1, is about content management for print and online delivery. So topics there include things like information structuring, navigation, so that's obviously particularly an online issue, but we think about navigation in printed material as well. Indexing, copyright, and also project management is a very important part of the skills that editors need, being working as part of a team and managing projects as part of a team. That's semester 1. You don't need to start in semester 1, you can also start in semester 2, and we have a kind of an introductory level unit there, which is Edit 6000, Communication, Publishing and Editing. And this really looks at publishing and editing in a very broad scope. So we look at the history of publishing, we look at how multi-authorship works, we look at particular areas of publishing that you might not think of, such as signage or captions. And then we look very closely also at work in ebooks and also how multimedia gets put into different kinds of publications. And then in Edit 8081, there's language writing and editing, which is a much more language-focused unit. So we're looking at the elements that make up language and how we should be familiar with them in order to edit well. So topics there include grammar, punctuation, cohesion, readability, persuasive writing and scholarly writing. So we look at particular genres of writing there as well. The kinds of assignments that you get, we do quite a bit of assessed group discussion. So you have these particular topics that you'll discuss as a group, and you'll have to edit your material very carefully to go into that. So it's not like an informal group discussion. You have to edit your work and reference material within that and talk about particular topics such as ethics within publishing, or another topic that we look at there is usage guides and usage issues. We have a group project work assignment, which is very important in getting you working together as a group and seeing how the different dynamics within the group and the different functions within a group, which is really replicating real life situations when you are an editor. We have particular editing tasks, like one of them is looking at how you work with punctuation, for example. And then I've got essays there in the plural, but there's only really one essay that you do looking at the future editing. It's usually your final assignment. Course delivery is in the form of short weekly lectures. So they are short, but they are also accompanied by practical activities that go with the lectures, and also accompanied by lecture notes that give you a bit more depth about each weekly topic. And we also provide you with readings, most of which can be obtained online, but we also do expect you to have a bit of access to general reference tools like dictionaries and usage books that you need as part of your library as an editor. So that's the course structure and contents. Why come to Macquarie to study this particular topic? Well, there's a number of reasons. One of them is flexibility, because this course runs completely online. We have weekly lectures and tasks, but they're completed in your own time, and what you can do is you can work at your own pace and work after hours. You're not expected to attend tutorials at a particular time, so it gives you great flexibility. And also, as I've mentioned before, you can do it either part-time or full-time, so you can do 2 units per semester, or you can do 1 per semester and spread it over 2 years. We've got a lot of experience in this area, so this is actually the oldest university level course in Australia, and we've got very experienced teachers. I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about also I've got a tutor who works with me who's also in fact done the course herself. And we're very lucky to have Emeritus Professor Pam Peters, who started up the course a long time ago as a consultant on it as well. So there's plenty of experience behind this course. Linguistic knowledge. It's quite rare to have a course like this within a linguistics department, but the fact that we have it here gives us the advantage that we can talk about language in quite a solid way, and we can talk about the language-based skills that an editor needs with research behind us talking about these particular aspects of an editor's skill. And then finally, there's professional networking. So an important thing to emphasize here is there's always a range of experience across our student cohort. So you get to network with different students who've got various kinds of experience with editing, and that's a very important aspect of the networking. But we also give you links to industry, particularly after you've qualified. We can put you in touch with people from different parts of the industry where you might be interested in working. And also we give you access to the professional body IPED, which is the body that actually they run a separate qualification. It's accreditation for editors, which this course helps to prepare you for. But they also have regular conferences that we encourage you to join in with, and many of our students have gone on to join IPED, and we're going to introduce you to one of those in a moment. So the next question I have is, who does this course and what do they end up doing? And before I get into a description of the kinds of students that we've had and what they've gone on to do, I just wanted to have a quick look at the results of the poll that we looked at earlier, just to see if we've got some people with varying experience with us this evening. So I'll just wait for those results to come up here. So it looks as though most of you have had some form of editing and or publishing experience, which is entirely expected, because as mentioned, editing is done in all kinds of fields now across all kinds of modes of delivery. So yes, that doesn't surprise me at all. We've got a few people who've done some book publishing, and we've got also some people who have done some academic or educational publishing. The other areas don't really come up there. And the emphasis is very much here on digital or online publishing, which is as to be expected. That's what most of us are doing these days, and that's something that's a very strong emphasis of this course as well. Great. So let me show you some of the kinds of backgrounds that our students come from. So we have academics, and again, I'm about to talk to one of our ex-students who is also an academic. Aspiring writers, so we get lots of people who are very much interested in editing their own writing as well, which is an absolutely valid reason to want to do this course. Business owners, experienced editors, so experienced editors come to us because they feel as though even though they might have plenty of experience in the field, they want to kind of formalize their skills. People often get into editing kind of almost accidentally, and that they don't train for it. And you might reach a certain point in your career as an editor where you think, oh, perhaps there's certain things that I'm missing that I don't know about. I need to formalize that knowledge that I've gained over this time. We get librarians, including we had a student who works at the parliamentary library, and he invited me actually afterwards to give a talk to various people that work in government about aspects of Australian editing. We of course get novice editors, people who are just starting out, public servants, people who are reskilling, so people who are trying to get back into the workforce and feel as though editing is an area that they would really like to be able to work in, and we can supply them the skills to get jobs back into the workforce. Teachers, translators, we have lots of translation students here at the university who are often doing units with us. Web designers, and of course workers from home. Editing is such a transportable skill. You can do it anywhere. You don't have to go into an office, and certainly in these COVID times, that's become something that's even more important. Having that flexibility, to be able to work from home and having the skills to do that. So this is our students, and there's plenty more examples of the kind of students that we get. Our graduates are accredited editors, so as I mentioned with the IPED accreditation, and lots of our students go on to do that. We have authors, we have book editors, so we've had people working for going to work for HarperCollins, for example, the Indigenous publishers Magabala books as well. Quite a recent student of ours was working there. Hansard editors, that's another very specialized area where editing occurs. So creating the official record for Parliament, and that's a particular area of where my research is interested in as well. Freelancers, of course, so many people are working in freelance now, and we try and give you the skills and the knowledge to set yourself up as a freelance editor. Indexers, that's a very niche kind of work within editing, but we have some of our students who are working specifically as indexers too. Journalists, researchers, some of our students actually come back and do research for us. We've got one of them actually doing some work on readability for us at the moment. Technical writers, thesis editors, again, coming to a university, people are always looking for people for help with editing their thesis. So once you've made connections here and you've got a bit of experience, that's a great way to get into editing. So lots and lots of scope. What I might do is I might stop sharing now, and I would just like to now introduce to you someone I've already mentioned, one of our ex-students, very recently graduated. It's Associate Professor Gail Wilson, and she's also a member of the Institute of Professional Editors. So I'd like to join with Gail now, and we can have a little chat about the kinds of things that you learned from the course and the kind of things that you expected to learn from the course as well. So I guess my first question is, what motivated you to do this course here?
Well, I have been editing for many, many years as an academic. I've also been doing research journal out of the UK. I've been an editor for that journal for 6 years as well. And over the course of my career, I've done a lot of editing for the web and on digital resources, etc. So when I decided to retire from full-time employment in about 2/3 of the way of 2018, I was a bit concerned as to what I might do with my time. And I decided to enroll in the course that you're a coordinator of, because I wanted to expand, provide myself with some opportunities to think more closely about editing, to come to terms with the different aspects of editing that I hadn't touched on or that I was not involved with, and to just I guess enjoy learning something without having to mark papers or do anything like that, and just be a student and apply my skills to something new. And so that's why I enrolled. I think at my enrollment, I started with that broad-based course, the broad-based communications one, and that was a really good opener for me. It just exposed me to a wide range of areas and issues. And then I think my favorite unit was the one that I did at the very last, which was focused on linguistics, language editing, and scholarly writing.
Right. Yes. That would have suited you well, because there is an aspect there for scholarly writing, and I think a lot of people actually do enjoy that, because they come into editing, even if they've got a lot of experience with language and editing already, that they haven't often learnt all the kind of the formal skills around understanding, unpacking language and how that works. And I think even quite experienced editors feel that they don't have that knowledge already, which is why they come to this course and try and gain that.
No, and I think just one more thing about why it came into the course. I found that I'd made the right choice, I think, after the very first assessment and task that we finished. And my reasoning for that was it brought me, I was able to see that there's such a lot of depth to what you need to learn. Even though you bring a lot of skills, everyone that comes into this program has already got a set of skills, but you actually have to apply those skills in different ways. So for me, it was a good opportunity to, I guess, re-engage as a student, but from a different perspective than what I've been doing for the last 25 years in my life. Right.
And so you've talked about, I'm glad you enjoyed the course. So what are the particular aspects of it that you found useful?
Well, some people will perhaps smile a bit at this and wonder why I'm saying this, but I actually liked the assessment tasks. Now, again, this is the teacher in me and the researcher and the instructor aspect, I guess, but I found the assessment tasks, because they were designed from the perspective of training you or developing your skills in editing, you had to be, there were many opportunities to express yourself in this course. But when you were doing so through the assessment, even or blog posts or whatever it was, a written essay style, you had to be conscious that this was an editing course. So the marks and the loading in terms of the marks came on particular areas that perhaps in the past I would just skim over, or even in terms of the social sciences area that I was, teaching and I paid attention to, but it was not to this close degree. So the assessment tasks were good for that. They reminded you that you are in an editing program, and they brought you up short with regards to some very small, easy things, like if it was APA, the 7th style that I chose to use, I guess I'd better learn what APA the 7th was, or refresh my memory of it and make sure that I was accurate in that, because again, an editor is expected to know these things. So that there was lots of practical experience of editing skills, if you like, applied throughout the assessment. I think the other aspect that I liked was being exposed to a very broad, environment, editing environment, and different types of editing roles and different types of tasks and different contexts in which editing is conducted. Now that was expressed very much through the readings to some extent, but also to the other students that were in the program. And because we were able to engage in an online environment, a lot of that expertise or that context came out in people's responses. So from my perspective, I was able to understand a response from a fellow student because they came from a linguistics background, for example, and so their response to a particular issue would come from that perspective, whereas other people brought, say, government publishing background to that context. So I could see that the wide range of skills that were available from the people that were studying, but I also saw and learned how they applied their editing skills to the task as well. And that was also important in the project that we worked on, where 3 of us had to work as a team.
Yes, yeah. So so certainly, yes, I would agree with you about the diversity that's there, but can I just ask, so you felt that you were able to interact with students as well? Because even though it's just an online based course, and that can be sometimes hard to get that feeling of community there, but you did actually feel that you were able to get a sense of who your other students were and interact with them properly.
Yes, the semester goes very fast because from day one you're involved in the course. The course is ready. You don't have much time to settle in, so to speak. And at the postgraduate level, I don't think that you need a lot of time. But the first task really got me involved in the first unit that I did. The first task got me very much involved with the other students who are in the program. There's an opportunity to introduce yourself. There's an opportunity to say something about your background. And then when we actually did the project work, there were 3 of us. I approached 2 others that I could see would have slightly different backgrounds to me, but were not necessarily, say, working in the publishing industry. And we formed a small group, but so there was lots of dialogue outside of class about that when we were preparing our work. So I think the other area that came to mind with regards to the backgrounds was the depth and breadth of knowledge that was apparent on the online responses and the responses to the questions that you posed online about particular issues. So there was a very wide range of skill sets there and life experience as well.
Yeah, I always enjoy that myself. Yes,
yeah.
It always comes through in those. Yes,
it does.
Yeah. Have you applied much of what you learned since you finished studying, or even while you were studying?
Yes, it taught me to be more careful about the editing that I'm doing currently. I do a lot of substantive editing work for national teaching assessment applications. And I also do substantive editing with journal in terms of journal articles.
You might need to explain that term for people who don't know about substantive editing.
Substantive editing is editing as opposed to copy editing, which is just looking for the commas and the EM or EN dashes or whatever that's appropriate. But it's not, substantive editing is actually looking at different ways in which the paragraphs can be phrased, can be topic sentences can be pulled out of paragraphs and put at the top of the opening of the paragraph to make a greater impact as a topic sentence. And actually, I guess looking at the content, the way it unfolds and to present an argument. And oftentimes, everyone that writes needs assistance with that, needs another pair of eyes to look at that. Mm-hmm. So that's primarily the type of editing that I do. And that would be able to be applied to thesis editing as well. There's different types, as I said earlier, but that's the area that I mainly do work in.
Right. And I introduced you as a member of IPED. Can you tell me a little bit about your role there?
Okay, well, as a result of doing this course, I decided that if I was going to do some voluntary work, I might commit that voluntary time to the editing profession. And it would allow me to get to understand the profession more broadly and to network with some people as well. So I joined IPED as an associate member, and I joined, I think that was in 2019. And I volunteered for a role. And so I was certainly given a role that I didn't expect. And that is, I'm now chairing the awards and prizes working a group for IPED. And that is a group that looks after the different prizes. And for example, there's an IPED student prize and other prizes, and a Janet McKenzie medal that's awarded every 2 years. So
and students from our course have actually won the student prize in the past as well.
Yes, so that's what I now do, and it puts me in touch with a lot of different people in IPED. And I haven't decided whether or not to go and do further accreditation in terms of doing the exams that IPED offers. I think it takes at least a year to prepare for that, but there's plenty of support provided by IPED, and there's mentoring for people that wish to do that. Most of IPED's members are freelancers, and there's an amazing, very worthwhile professional development program offered by IPED, Zoom sessions. Actually, that's a one positive aspect of COVID-19, is that instead of each state association of IPED offering their own professional development, that professional development was opened to everyone across Australia. So that means that people have been able to benefit from something that the Victorian branch of IPED is offering, or the New South Wales branch, or the South Australian branch. And that's greatly expanded the professional development for editors or aspiring editors that IPED represents.
Right, excellent. Okay, well, I think at that point, and I've just seen a question pop up on the Q&A. So perhaps now, thank you very much for your input there, Gail. We might move now onto the Q&A session, just to see what kind of questions the audience are asking. So the first question I've got here is saying, I mentioned that the course suits freelancers. Can I elaborate on the opportunities in the market and how do we enter this industry? Well, there's no straightforward answer to that question. I do have a number of people who've gone on to work as freelancers and set themselves up very successfully. Very often, if you want to work as a freelancer, you need to have some kind of particular area of interest or expertise. So one ex-student I'm thinking of in particular, had a legal background, and so she was able to get into work with legal firms and had already contacts in that industry. And once she had the qualifications, she could go to them and say, and she would know the need there. So, and I think really that's the way to go, to think of a particular area of interest or of expertise of your own, and that's one way where it's best to focus once you're starting out as a freelancer, and using the contacts that you already have, particularly in the area of things like science editing. There's lots and lots of work there. If you've got a science background, it's very often easy to get work, relatively easy to get work if you're an accomplished editor, because they're crying out for good quality editing there. You can, of course, get work, and a lot of people envisage themselves going out there and working on great works of literature, and that does happen as well. As I've mentioned, a couple of people who've gone into the book publishing world. Harder to do that unless you do already have those contacts within the publishing industry, but you can make those through the network working opportunities through the course, and also definitely through IPED as well. Once you join there and go to some of their meetings and make contacts with people, that's where you can kind of show off what you know and get into areas that really interest you. I hope that's helped to answer your question. I've got a question here about what the average class size is. So basically, we don't really operate as classes. It's an online cohort. And so normally over the course of the year, we get probably 20 to 30 people taking each unit. That does vary a little bit. We got a bit of an influx of people second half of last year, with lots of people, I think, stuck at home wanting to find something to do, something useful to do. And so we got quite a lot of people joining the unit's second semester last year during lockdown. And so we probably had classes of up to 40 there, but it's not usual to get that many. So it's normally 20 to 30. And the advantage of that is that you can get to know the people within your class pretty well, even though it is basically online engagement. And also it allows me to give a fair bit of personal support as well to students, and so I can give them plenty of feedback and plenty of extra information if they ask it. So I like having those kind of smaller scale units where you can give kind of close personal attention to the students as well. Can I complete the program part-time? Yes, you definitely can do it part-time. So, I mean, it's basically set up so that people can do it in their own time. So classes are delivered, so the lectures are simply recorded. You access them when you need to, and what I do at the start of the semester actually is I open things up gradually so as not to overwhelm people with materials. So you'll get the materials week by week, which includes the lecture notes, the readings, and the practical activity each week. But as we go through, I open up more and more things in advance, so then you can be more flexible about when you do things. So if you want, you can get ahead on things. We can be in week 6 in the university, and you can be up to week 9 if you want to, if you happen to have a bit of time to spend on things. So most of the people who study this particular course are already working full-time, and so they're doing a lot of their work in the evenings and at weekends, and we definitely cater for them. And part-time basically means that you're doing 1 unit rather than 2 units during the semester. Little comment here from Darren saying that it's great to have a network of fellow students, and that's definitely something that works very well. And yeah, people get together. You know, if there's a particular talk or the IPED conference that I've mentioned, people get together and they meet up there as well if they happen to live in the same part of Australia, which you can't take as guaranteed, because we get people from all over Australia as well as overseas as well. Another question here, how many hours of lecture and self-study required in a normal week? So we would normally say that you'd need about 2 to 3 hours per week to do this course, and that's not including the assignments. So you obviously you get some concentrated time that you need to spend on the assignments, but even there, so I talked a bit about the group accessible forums. They're kind of spread over 3 weeks so that you can dip in and out of those as well. And so we're not kind of giving you kind of too much intensive activity at the same time. That there are other kinds of tasks where you have to do a bit of editing or write an essay, where obviously that becomes more intensive at that point. But we do make sure that you know about these activities well in advance and give you information about them well in advance, so that you can plan for the extra time that you need to do them there. And the question is it possible to take a Macquarie appling unit as an elective in place of one part of the course? So you can't replace any parts, any of the individual units within the grad cert. You can actually receive RPL for one of them, the 6000 level one that I mentioned, the very broad one, if you do have some editing experience already. So that's you can get RPL for that, but to complete the course itself, you need to do the 3 or the 4 units that are specified in the grad certs. I hope that's answered that question. Good, I got an understood. Excellent, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, the next intake is right now. I'll put up a slide in a moment just to show you about the application process. I'll share my screen in a moment. Can you assume knowledge? No assumed knowledge is required. Lots and lots. So the questioner here is worried that if they don't have editing experience, they're going to struggle with this course. That's not the case at all. We do really give you all the skills that you need to get started, as I said, experienced editors do it as well as completely non-experienced editors, but really they're trying to scaffold things that they already know, and so they might come in with a little bit of an advantage because they already have some kind of background. But really all that you need to be an editor is just close attention to detail, and even the most experienced editor can learn new ways of doing that. We provide all the resources that you need. There's not a huge amount of reading that you can really do around editing. There's not a lot of research that can be done, but there's some very basic kind of reference tools that we give you access to. And the information is there. It's simply that you need to get, I guess, a particular focus, a particular attention to detail, and some people are naturally inclined that way already, so you don't necessarily need the experience. It's often some people are interested in this often have a very close attention to detail and are naturally editors already. So we get a lot of people who just pick it up really quickly and become very very proficient very quickly. So I wouldn't worry about a lack of experience at all. Question about whether we can do it, you can do it from interstate. Absolutely, there's no problem with that at all. The whole way that the unit is set up is so that it's flexible. The one issue that comes in very occasionally is assignment deadlines. So if you happen to be in Perth and I've set the last the deadline for the assignment at midnight Sydney time, you just have to give me a nudge sometimes and say, no, I'm actually on a different time zone. But that's all, you know. It's very flexible, so interstate is not a problem. And as I said, we have students sometimes doing it from overseas as well, and that's not an issue at all. Oh yes, I see. We've got a link up for the next application session. So applications close on 9th of July. So there we go. You'll see a link in the chat. Okay, here we are again. So here's just a link for you to find out more information about the course. So you can go to that link on the website, or you can scan the QR code to get started. If you want to broaden your knowledge and skills in editing and electronic publishing, you'll be sent some more information about this particular session as well. The course is available in session 1 and 2, as I've noted, and you can start equally well in either one because we have introductory level units in both of them. And you can start in July. The applications for session 2 close on the 9th of July, so still got plenty of time to get into there if you are interested. All I think I need to do now is just thank Gail very much again. It was a real pleasure. I actually hadn't met Gail before we lined up this little webinar, so it was because we'd been doing everything interacting online. So it's been lovely to meet with Gail and have her input. So thanks so much, and lovely to meet you all as well virtually. And thanks so much for your questions. I hope I've been able to answer them sufficiently. I think there's another one coming up here. A question here. Yes, is there an extension of this course? Can we go further to a postgraduate diploma? Actually, there isn't. You can go and do a master's, an MRes here if you want to. And we've actually had people who've taken the editing course and then found a particular area of study that they wanted to take further. The most recent one actually was someone that were very interested in the editing of apps, and so they wrote a master's thesis on apps, and so you can certainly get into particular niche areas in editing, and if you are interested, but we don't have a further course beyond this kind of practical one. Okay, I can't see any more questions, so thanks once again. Lovely to have your company, and hope to meet you on the course.